by Hazel. Now, I said some weeks ago that I was going to do a video about Tapatya's electrical system, and this is the time to do that. I'm going to have a go. And starting from the very beginning, and I'm at risk of stating the blatantly obvious here, we could split the electrical system into three sections really. The storage, which is the batteries, the charging of those batteries, and the loads, whatever we're using the electricity in those batteries to do. Talking about the onboard power, most certainly. So let's start there. We're going to start with the batteries. I'll show you those. There's nothing particularly complicated. Then we'll look at charging systems and then loads and how that works. But I hope it's clear that the three are totally interconnected. How much you draw, the loads, determines how much battery you need. And how much battery you've got determines how much charging you need. So the three things are completely interconnected. And so if you start, as I have, from an idea of not drawing very much, then you can see, I hope, that your batteries don't need to be very big and your charging system doesn't need to be very big. So we'll start with the batteries and then we'll look at the loads and the charging separately from that. So I've just opened up Tapatya's electrical bay, where most of the electronics and the house battery, the battery that supplies all the things for on board, apart from the motor starting, are housed. And I've taken the lid off the battery box, and there you see it. It's an AGM battery, not overly sized, and that is connected with a negative bus, which is here. And the positive connection goes up to these switches, which I'll show you soon, the back of these switches. So the big thick one goes to switch 2, which gives us the option to start the engine off of this service battery. And the slightly less thick one is the feed for all the loads on board. So via these two switches, let me show you these two switches. The first switch here determines 1 or 2 which battery the loads on board are being drawn off of. And the second switch, currently off, determines 1 or 2, determines which battery is feeding the starter motor of the engine, purely that. So normally I start the engine on battery 2 and the service battery is battery 1. And in the electrics bay here is battery 1. Well, under the step here, as you can imagine, we've got a smaller, also an AGM, 70 amp hour starter battery for the motor. Again, 2 cables coming off of it. The negative goes off to the negative bus, the thicker one goes off to the starter motor, the thinner one goes off to run the loads. So we could have this as our service battery if we wanted, but we don't want. That's just for emergencies. Having 2 switches here, just as I said, gives me the choices of either battery for either purpose, but also allows me to completely isolate by turning both off. The batteries are completely isolated from everything then. And there's no danger of any stray current getting through the sail drive into the water or anything like that. What else we've got in here is a battery charger. We're currently plugged into shore power. So here's our battery charger, charging both batteries. And 2 separate solar controllers, one for each bank of the solar. And they only charge this service battery, not the motor battery. So the shore power battery charger charges the motor battery, and the solar only charges this battery here. Around here we've also got a small inverter that I rarely use, and other than that it's just all connected up with various buses. So 2 buses for the solar, a negative bus for the negatives, and the backs of the switches there. Now, I've already told you that our engine can be started from either battery, although it's normally started from the smaller battery 2. Well, so far always has been. Clearly we've got an alternator on the engine which provides charge to the batteries, and that runs out through this battery isolator cum splitter. So the 2 batteries charged from that independently. That senses the ampage that each battery needs. That's all very tidy. So we've got 4 solar panels on the bimini, making up a total of 200 watts. There's one side. They're arranged in 2 banks, so 100 watts each side. One side, and the other side there in shade. Currently, it's the other bank. As I say, arranged in 2 banks with 2 separate controllers, so that if one bank's in shade, the other one's producing power for us, and that's working very well. Shore power comes in here on this master volt plug. They're rather pricey, but very good contacts on them. So we just run a cable from the dock obviously into there to provide us with shore power. And that runs from this RCB circuit breaker onto the shore power battery charger, which, as I said, charges both batteries. So we've got the 2 batteries, the service battery and the engine starter battery, and we've got the 3 sources of charging. The solar, which charges only the bigger service battery and clearly only works when the sun's shining. We've got the engine alternator, which charges both batteries and clearly only works when the engine's running. And we've got the shore power, which charges both batteries and clearly only works when we're plugged into shore power. But this works brilliantly. We've spent a month at anchor in Galicia, no problems at all, always plenty of electricity available. And in fact, a couple of occasions we've been over a month or more without plugging into shore power and no issue with the battery charge. Battery charge is nicely topped up. And perhaps one of the biggest reasons for that is what we're using. And here's my switch panel for the loads. And we run through these and I'll tell you what's on them. So we've got nav lights. Now everything that draws load comes through this panel. Nav lights, LED nav lights, 3 of them, drawing very, very little. Cabin lights, all LED. No need to have them all on at the same time. So not drawing very much there. The one with no label is VHF and AIS, probably one of our biggest draws. Only have it on when we're underway. Blower is the fan for the stove, which is only on when the stove's lit, and the fan in the toilet in the heads, which is on all the time, but it's a very low draw. Instruments, only on when we're underway, is the autopilot and the plotter. And that's it, autopilot and plotter. So a bit of draw on that one. Autopilot certainly takes a few amps. Accessories is these various outputs, the radio up there, but again, not much on that one in terms of draw. Over here we've got anchor light, LED anchor light. We've got, it's called running light, but it's in fact the steaming light, again LED steaming light, both of these on the masthead, and bilge pump, which the boat is so dry I've never had to use, has stayed off all the time. And those are all the loads that we've got. Nothing else uses electricity, and that is the trick to it. For example, a lot of boats use electric water pumps, but we are completely manual or foot pump down there. Also in the heads, so we don't need electricity for that. And quite frankly, I don't know why anybody uses electricity for pumping water. The windlass is manual, it's not electric. Electric windlasses draw an awful lot, and you have to run big heavy cables the entire length of the boat. A manual one involves a bit of muscle work, but it's not bad. It's a geared windlass, it's easy enough to wind the anchor up. So those sort of things, we've got no electric winches, none of that nonsense. In fact, the junk rig doesn't really need winches at all. I do have one winch, but it's a normal wind it with your hand pump. So keep the electrics to a minimum means that you don't need much in the way of battery storage, and consequently you don't need much in the way of charging. 200 watts, as I said, of solar on the Bimini, and it's plenty. Let me show you this app, because you will have noticed, I hope, that all of my electronics there, that's the inverter, the battery charger and the solar controllers and the alternator splitter isolator, They're all Victron Energy products. And for the battery charger and the two solar chargers, controllers, you have a wonderful app that allows you to access it via your phone. So let's have a look. Okay, let's open it up. The Victron Connect. And it Bluetooth connects up to all three devices that are on board. There's the battery charger and the two solar controllers. We're going to the battery charger, and you'll see that it gives us an overall battery voltage. It doesn't show you the two independent batteries, but combined we've got a battery voltage of 13.2 volts roughly, so they're fully charged. Lovely. Let's have a look in at one of the solar controllers. Connecting up, and you'll see very soon what we've got here. So the panels are giving out a voltage of 20 volts. At the moment, battery is fully charged, so we've got a battery voltage of 13.65 on the service battery. Remember, they only connect to the service battery, and no current going in. The other one will show us similar, 21 volts on the panels. Battery voltage, it agrees, 13.65, and it's fully charged. It's on float, so it's not charging at the moment. But these are really good pieces of information that you can look at easily and check the state of play of your batteries. Tapatya has 4 220 volt outlets, 2 to the colour black and 2 to the white, and in this picture you can see 1 black and 1 white one. This is repeated in the galley. The black outlets are connected directly to shore power via the RCB circuit breaker. In the galley area, this allows me to run, for example, my induction hot plate when we're plugged into shore power. The white outlets are from the inverter when I switch the inverter on. As I said earlier, I rarely use. So that's Tapatya's electrical system. It's really very simple, and I believe the beauty of it is in its simplicity. Like so many things, if we can reduce what we need, we can reduce what we need to produce, and it has an efficiency that is quite achievable on a small, low budget cruising sailboat. Some thoughts, I hope. Works well for me. It's wonderful. As I said, we've cruised all year. We had no electricity problems whatsoever. It's been perfect. Well, that brings us towards the end of this video, and there's one thing you may well be thinking that I haven't mentioned. That is refrigeration, which is a big consumer of electricity, and I solve that problem by simply not having any. We run with no refrigeration, and I don't need it. You know, with the cruising this year has partly been in warm places, and I have no need for refrigeration, just some sensible food storage. The freshies are up in a net up above. Everything else is stored below the waterline. As a good Englishman, I like my beer at cellar temperature, and by storing it below the waterline, it gives me that perfectly. I don't need refrigeration, and thereby I save a lot of requirements for electricity. Works well. Anyhow, I say we're coming towards the end. I'm out here in the workshop. I was just going to mention that I've organised an album, a music album of the music used in this season 2 videos, which I think is, well, I like it, put it that way. It's up on Bandcamp. The link is in the video description. I shall put it there at the very least. And all proceeds to the Cruising Kitty, of course. That's it for now. Thank you for watching. There won't be a video next week because it's Christmas. So I wish you all a very, very happy festive season, and see you in the new year. And I'm looking forward to that. Adventures, I think, coming up this year. More of. Good. Talk to you soon. Bye.